This is your tutorial over areas of circles and sectors. I'll work the odd problems with you. For number one, it wants us to find, or for the first section, they want us to find the area of each circle or sector and write our answers in terms of pi. So the area formula for a circle is pi radius squared. So the area for this circle is pi times 5 squared. And since they want it in terms of pi, we don't put pi in their calculator. The only thing we calculate is the 5 squared. So we kind of ignore the pi for right now. So we would have 25, and then bring the pi back down, and then label with our units, inches squared. That's all. For number three, the shaded sector is found by using the measure of the arc over 360 times pi radius squared. So the area would use the arc measure of 130 over 360 times pi times our radius, which is 18 squared. Now, when you grab your calculator, again, you're going to ignore pi, but multiply everything else. So I would put 130 over 360 in parentheses, or use alpha y equals, doesn't matter. And then 18 squared. And then it'll calculate it correctly. So that's 117. And then again, just bring pi back in and label with your units. So meters squared. For the next group, they want us to round our answers to the nearest 10. So for number 5, I'm finding the area. So again, it's pi radius squared. So that means it's pi times, well, our radius is going to be 5.5 because that's half of 11 squared. And now, since it wants to the 10th, we go ahead and put it all in the calculator. So 5.5 squared times pi is about 95.0. So 95.0 feet squared. The 0.0 is necessary because if I just put 95, that is false and it's very inaccurate. Whereas the 0.0 signifies that the rounding was involved. Number 7 reads, the circumference of a circle is 12 pi yards. What is the exact area? So the circumference formula is 2 times pi times radius. So since they give us the circumference, we're going to replace c with 12 pi and use our algebra skills to get the radius by itself. So since on the right side we have the radius multiplying with the 2 and the pi, if I want those both to move to the other side, I would have to divide by 2 and pi. You can do them separately or together. It doesn't matter. But make sure you do it on both sides so it cancels out. And that way, all I will have on the right-hand side is my radius. And on the left-hand side, the 2 pi's do cancel. And now you just divide 12 by 2 and you would get 6. So my radius is 6. And now that I have my radius, I can find my area. The area formula, again, is pi radius squared. So that means it's pi times 6 squared. And since it wants the exact area, that means leave pi in your answer. So the only thing you would calculate is the 6 squared, which is 36, and bring the pi down. So 36 pi yards squared. For number 9, it's a lot similar to number 7, except they have the answer as decimals, so that means actually calculate using pi. So again, the circumference starts off as 2 times pi times radius. Substitute the circumference that they give us, 18.85, and rewrite the right-hand side. Again, I want my radius by itself, so I have to divide both sides by 2 and pi. So I'll have the radius by itself, but I'm going to need to grab the calculator to divide this out. So it's 18.85 divided by, and I need to put it in parentheses, 2 pi. If I don't put it in parentheses, it won't cooperate. Trust me and believe me, folks. Or divide by 2, then go again and divide by pi on 2 separate lines. Either one works. But without those parentheses, you're going to get the wrong answer. So my radius is about 3.0. Now I can find my area. Area is equal to pi times radius squared. So that's pi times 3 squared. And it's said to the tenths. So I can literally just take my answer and square it. And then times pi. Since it's already in the calculator, it'll be more accurate that way. For my area to the nearest tenth, it's about 28.3. Oops, 28.3 inches squared. Number 11 says, what is the area of half of this circle? Write your answer in terms of pi. So the area formula for a circle, again, is pi times radius squared. If I want half of a circle, I would just take that area and divide by 2. So pi times our radius is 12 because our diameter is 4, squared, and then divide by 2. And because it wants our answers in terms of pi, we're going to ignore pi and make sure we rewrite it in just a moment. So the only thing I'm going to put in my calculator is 12 squared divided by 2. Which is 72. So 72 pi inches squared would be half of the circle. For number 15, it would like the area of the shaded region around to the nearest tenths. So what I have here, the bigger picture is a trapezoid. And the smaller picture is half a circle. That's one way of looking at it. So what I would do in this scenario is find the area of the trapezoid and then subtract the area of half of a circle. So the formula for area of a trapezoid is b1 plus b2 times your height over 2. And then the area of half a circle we just mentioned was pi radius squared over 2. So for my trapezoid, my bases are 6 and 9. My height for my trapezoid I need to still find. For my circle, my radius I need to find as well. Once I find the height of my trapezoid, I can find my radius. So one way of finding my height is to draw a line right here. And if you notice, the entire top portion of my trapezoid is 6, but the entire bottom is 9. So that means 6 stops at that dotted line on both ends. So that means I need another 3 more right here. And this is a right triangle, so I would use Pythagorean's theorem. The shortcut again is b equals the square root of c squared minus a squared. So in this situation, that would be 5 squared minus 3 squared, and it would equal to 4. So my height is 4. To my circle, 4 represents the entire diameter, so that means my radius is 2. And now I can grab the calculator, type it all in one step. On this one, I would probably use alpha y equals to make sure everything gets put in properly. So it would be 6. Sorry, we need parentheses. 6 plus 9, close your parentheses, times 4 over 2. Get out of that fraction. Minus alpha y equals 1 pi 2 squared over 2. Now hit enter. To the nearest tenth, the area would be about 23.7 inches squared. Alrighty, folks, one more problem. Number 13. It's kind of similar to the one we just did, except for the two figures are a rectangle and half a circle. So I would find the area of a rectangle minus the area of half a circle. Formula for area of a rectangle is base times height. For half circle, pi radius squared over 2. The base and the height of my rectangle will be 50 and 30. Sorry, that's supposed to be a minus, not an equal. So the diameter of my circle is 30, so half of that is 15. So that's my radius. over 2. Now put it in the calculator. So 50 times 30 minus pi 15 squared over 2. So 1146.6 is my area. Feet squared. All right. This concludes your tutorial. Good luck on completing the rest of the assignment.